this is Vishal here. Thanks so much for joining on a Saturday evening or somewhat similar if that's the same time zone that you're in. We'll just give a couple more minutes for some more people to trickle in. I'm sure they'll be there, and whoever doesn't make it will get access to a recording as well, so no worries. I'm hoping that you guys are sitting in front of a laptop and will join me as we actually make some AI and agentic workflows together. But if you're not able to do that, you can follow along and hopefully do it at your own leisure after this session. So while we're waiting for everyone else to join in, it'd be great if some of you could let me know what brings you here. What do you do on a regular basis? I'm just going to kickstart a poll question so that you can just sort of answer that while we're discussing. It's just a simple poll that should appear on your screen. And just tag something or other. Hopefully this will give everybody a flavor of who else is joining. Yep, so I see 10 of you have voted. Go from there. Okay, more than half of you have voted. Thank you. Very good to see a couple of founders, CXOs, product managers, process managers, marketing folks, and a good number of others. So good mix of people, exactly what I was hoping for. So good to see that. All right, we'll start another 2 minutes. Thanks everyone who came in on time. All right. By the way, there is the chat and Q&A option as well. That's available on screen. If you have any questions, just drop a message in the Q&A. I'll do my best to try and answer it during the session, but if not, we will take it after the session as well. And yeah, hopefully this will be quite useful. In the meanwhile, people who have joined in, we will be using a tool called NA10. So if you want to make yourself useful and get a head start on everybody else, I'll just be sharing the link shortly. All right, another poll question. Here's another one. So quite interested to know how familiar you are with any specific automation tools, if somebody have used them or never used them. There is no right or wrong answer. This is just to get everybody a sense of where everybody is. I was an absolute beginner several years ago. But yeah, it's one of those things where wherever you are in the journey, at least getting exposure to what's possible today is much more important than even doing it to that extent. All right. Oh, very good. So nearly all of you have never used any automation tool, and 2 of you have tried once or twice. So that's really good. What that tells me is that this is a great audience who is ready to learn pretty much everything that we have to share today. And yeah, I'm sure it'll be super exciting to see this. And hopefully some of you will actually put this to use, and that will just fulfill my heart that some of you are putting stuff to use. All right. Okay, so meanwhile, yeah. You would see a link in the Q&A. There's a message there with a link to the NA10 link to register. If you click on that link, you'll be given access to a trial account of NA10. I have actually tried multiple things, and this is currently the best way to get started without too much configuration. But we will be doing that live in front of everybody, so you can follow along as well. Okay, I think this is good enough to get started with. Another last 30 seconds, and then we'll go from there. I think some of you have joined under some rather unusual names. Can I request? Yeah, I think some of you have clicked on the backup link, so there's a lot of hi or hee hee, I guess. I'd appreciate if you can click the three dots next to your name and click on rename. That'll just let me know that who you are. So for future reference, you can say, "Hey, I was at your session," and I'll be like, "Yes, you were hee hee, weren't you?" So hopefully that's not needed. And yeah. All right, I think we've got enough quorum to get started on. And whoever comes late will hopefully catch up because you're all cool and smart people. All right. All right, I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. This call is being recorded. Like I said, any questions, keep messaging the Q&A. There is already a link to register on NA10. Those of you who just want to watch, feel free to grab some popcorn and be entertained by what I will be showing you. Those of you who want to actually put some of this to use, you can go ahead and register using that link and follow along as we do it. In fact, I will be doing the flows with you as we uh, proceed. Okay, can launch BNP. All right. Can I get somebody on my team to confirm that you guys can see my screen? Okay. All righty. Okay. So let me jump into what we're going to be discussing today. So a quick introduction about us, and then we'll get into just a little bit of background about automation and agents. And then I will go through a couple of these agentic flows, which I've got planned. I don't think I'll have time for every one of them, but you'll have them on reference after this call to kind of go with there. Quick information about my company. So Quantana is a company I started and founded. We do a lot of work using AI in automations, data, as well as design. So based, started in Australia, now 6 years old, and been delivering a lot of projects for a lot of people. And a bit about me. I am the CEO and founder of Quantana. I graduated from IIM Bangalore. I've been writing about AI and automation since about the last 10 years. And yeah, it's fun reading some of those old predictions as well. But I'm excited today to be presenting to you about AI and how automation can be used in hopefully some of your workflows. All right, let's jump into it. So before we get into actually doing stuff, let me just give you a bit of background about how I look at automation and autonomous agents, because those are very different things. Uh, I can explain this to you in sort of 5 levels of AI or automation. So level 1 is basic automation, where you can just have a simple form and something will happen to that data or nothing will happen and you just forward it on. In fact, this is like the starting point, and we will be doing this. If you can do this, you can do the next step, and you'll see how we layer the different flows and technology on top of this. So this is like level 1 automation. Then we get into what I call complex automation. So if there's a certain keyword that's mentioned, it does something else. It's a little bit of routing. It's not really a smart thing yet, but it's useful enough that you can say forward a specific email to a specific department, and somebody else can take it from there. And you can see this little tiny icon over here. So NA10 is again really good at this flow as well. Level 3 is where you might have different um, applications that you want to string together. So it's not just one application. It's not just one workflow. It's using your HR system, it's using some IT system, your Gmail system, etc., and stringing those together. And this is again a workflow, and this is where NA10 has become really, really big at setting up between multiple applications. In fact, they support over 400, and they're constantly adding more integrations. Now, level 4 out of 5 is AI agentic workflows. And here is where you have some element of AI in your overall workflow. And right now, as of 2025 and 21st June, this is the uh, most reliable sort of AI flow that we have at the moment. So just as an example, you could have some information about a customer, you could do some background research about them, and then you can send them a personalized emailer or some content saying, hey, we know about you, we've done some research, and this is an offer we believe will be useful for you. And this is where some of the workflows as well, depending on the information you're getting, you can actually use different tools and trigger different workflows based on the information that you're getting at the beginning. So you got some inputs, and critically here, AI dynamically decides to do something, and then you have some output. Now, this is level 4. I'll just preview level 5, but the only cautionary tale is we're not there yet. So autonomous AI agents are still very early stages, and while we have experiments and different kind of systems that we are building as a company, for this audience, I think this is a little bit more technical, but I will just preview this to give you an idea what's possible. But this is something we will not be covering in today's session, maybe a future session. I'll probably show you some more things as well. But an autonomous AI agent is something where you kind of give a business goal, it just figures out a whole things on its own and gives you some outcome. Like I said, these are far from mature. This is still very early days for AI. So where we'll be getting at is pretty much level 4, and that's where we'll kind of look at it for today. So let me get into the tool N8 to N. By the way, if there's any questions, just a reminder that there's the Q&A section on this webinar, so you can uh, click on that link as well. You will need to register on N8 if you want to do a follow along, but if you just want to watch, then that's also okay. So what is N8? Now, N8 is something we call an agentic workflow platform. They allow you to connect multiple steps together and also include a little bit of AI in there. And it's currently the most popular platform that's been growing very, very quickly in the last even a couple of months. In fact, they've gone a full rebrand, and while they call themselves flexible AI workflow automation for technical teams, I've seen people who have nearly zero technical background just start plugging in and using it like a daily tool. Another benefit is that it's become so popular. There are a lot of YouTubers who are giving really helpful tutorials. In fact, some of these channels have been, growing really well and explaining everything from basics to advanced. And as people are figuring out more stuff, it's going there on YouTube. So this is something that I see as a tool that you can learn. You can find more resources, so you're not just stuck with, say, me. But it's something that you can get your team on board as well. And my favorite part about this is that if you really want, you can run the entire server or the application on your own server. So if you're dealing with any sensitive data and you don't want this to be running somewhere on the cloud, that's perfect because you can run this on your own server. You will need a little bit of technical know-how, but yes, so we at Quantana, we run our own server. We use it for our client automations and agentic flows, and it's been working great reliably so far. So that's about N8, and I'll get into what do AI agents look like. Now, like I said, AI agents is a very abused term. I've mentioned level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To some people, level 1 is itself an AI agent. It's like calling a smart air conditioner smart, or 10 years when smartphones came to the world. I don't know how smart they were, but it just meant you could install apps. So there's a whole gradient of what we call AI agents. I'll treat the word agent as the keyword here and not so much the AI part. If you choose to have AI in your agentic workflow or in your flow, then yes, it's an agentic workflow, but otherwise it can just be a fairly standard workflow. So like, for example, you might have a flow that has 5 steps with one OpenAI, and that is an AI agent. You might have a very complex step that is sort of deciding between multiple steps, and then making some more actions, and that can be again an AI agent. So there's no limit to the complexity over here. Oh, I got one question in the Q&A. Is it completely on our own server? Some things go to LLM. I will quickly address that because that's a great question. For most of the things right now, if you want the leading edge technologies, you would want to connect to OpenAI or Anthropic or other paid models outside. But more and more, we're seeing open source models where you can download a very small 700 gigabyte file and run it on a virtual cloud server that might have about 2000 gigabytes of RAM, and you can run that on your own server. So now, does that mean everyone will do that? Like I said, it's something that if you believe that's a good use case and you can afford it, you would do that. But costs are coming down, so hopefully this time in a couple of months, I will say, oh, you just need your phone and you can run a full AI model. All right, so AI agents in NA10 or any other sort of low-code system. Again, these are low-code systems that are easy to get into. Make.com is another provider as well. I'm usually jumping between NA10 and Make.com, but just lately I found that NA10 is really good at that initial onboarding and integrating multiple AI agents. And this is something that we use for production-grade systems as well. Make.com is also a fairly good tool as well. But it does not have that offline self-service or self-hosting mode. Now, what does the level 5 agent look like? It just looks like a lot of code. It's extremely unfancy. It's very dry. Yeah, I wouldn't call it as fun as what you can do with N8N. N8N is just fun now. You once you get the hang of it, you will just love. You'll see hundreds of applications where you can use N8N, and yeah, it's good fun. But if you are serious about building a level 5 agent, that's an autonomous agent that has the ability to do a lot of things given business goals, then we are working on some projects here, and if there's enough interest here, maybe I'll do a session about this as well. All right, so I mentioned about NA10 and what we will be looking at. A couple of important terminology. I'll just sort of define these out at the beginning, but then I will also show you these as you're using the system. By the way, if you haven't registered on that link on NA10, this would be a great time to do so because this is more of background exposition. But keywords here, NA10 node, you will hear this often. A node is just one of those boxes, and that node can be anything, but effectively a node connects to another node, connects to another node, and that is how you get a workflow. Each node, so that's why there's this gray box here. Each node contains effectively an input side, the processing side, and then the output side. And what I love is that this format of input, process, output is like the standard for every node that you see there. Now, some of these nodes are trigger nodes. So trigger nodes is what calls the entire workflow from beginning. So it can be when you chat with it, when you send an email, when you add some information to a drive or to a spreadsheet, but some action in the real world or in the online world that then triggers multiple steps. And finally, one word to know is JSON. JSON is just the notation of the text that is going from the input and output. Over time, you'll just get used to these JSON notations. But you don't need to even see them. You can see that in a visual way, but it's always helpful to know this. And or the way AI is also developing in terms of ChatGPT and even N8N, I wouldn't be surprised if by the time this workshop is over in a couple of months, the entire user experience will just become that much more easier. All right, so node, inputs, process, output, triggers, and JSON. All right. And one final exposition before we get into the actual hands-on part is how an AI agent in N8N looks like. Again, I will just show this again when live, but just listing this out so that you have this mental reference. A trigger over here, this is actually what an agent's node looks like in N8N. So you have a chat, and then you have the AI agent, node over here, and each AI agent node has a couple of pieces to it. You have the chat model, so you can actually choose which model to go for, and this is the sort of the engine that runs the actual AI for you. So we use OpenAI, and in fact, if you click on that link, you get 100 credits, free credits with OpenAI that you can easily integrate and play around with. And that's the reason why I wanted this link and registration workflow, because it can be a little tedious to go and set up a separate account. But this gives you a very good exploratory set of credits. So you have a chat model, and then you have a system message. And this system message is what I call the personality, or some people call it the soul of the AI agent. And this is what gives it the personality or the flavor of what you want this entire agent to do. And it can be anything from, you are a customer support agent, or you're an email response agent, or you are a joker and you should reply with jokes. Whatever it is, you can really define the personality how you. The other two pieces of this is memory and tools. So memory, just make sure that when you're chatting, it remembers you. And tools are actually the hidden sort of the superpower of NA10 and pretty much every other agent model is you don't have to build custom code to connect to existing platforms or tools that you use as a human. So if you're writing a mail or checking your calendar, these are again tools that an AI can now check your calendar or write a mail for you. So we're only just seeing the beginning of all these integrations where there are some tools that are now coming out and becoming more and more complex. So now we will build a couple of these flows. And I'm sort of listed this out as a preview. But before we get into this, does anyone have any questions on anything they've seen so far? This is sort of the take a deep breath before you dive in moment. So if you have any fears, concerns, this is a great time to ask. Okay, I see a couple of questions coming in. How can we optimize workflow performance when dealing with large data sets? Okay, so this, if you have a problem of large data sets, then you're now getting into optimization kind of questions. So how do you chunk your data so you can search it faster? How do you index your data so you can go through a summary of summaries instead of having to go through the original data? So there's a whole lot of techniques that you would need to plan for before you you start executing on it. So if you know you have a large data set, you should really plan for how do you optimize it so the amount of workload that the AI agent is doing is a lot less. And there's of course limitations with AI agents. They have a thing called context window, which is basically how much they can remember. It's your attention span. It's like how much can you remember from this workshop? Maybe 1 hour. So that problem is also there with AI agents. They have something called context window. If you keep talking for more than like a few hours, it'll forget. But there are ways to optimize that, which you can find online as well. Yeah, and for just for today, we'll keep this as a high level discussion, but keep asking these questions, and some of these I might take offline as well. I have Copilot with me. Can I use it via my system? So now these sort of workflows, they connect direct with OpenAI, and you need an API access to connect this. So we're actually building or tapping to the OpenAI servers and not using Copilot or ChatGPT as an application layer. So if you want to use this N8 flow, then the expectation is that you come in with the API keys and use those. So this current trial version, they've made it super easy to just get access to 100 credits, which is good enough for today and a couple of days of work. But yes, if you want to integrate it into your application, people will look at you as a developer and expect you to sign up and have a separate billing account. Any softwares that you need? So NA10, like I said, if you click on the link, that's a cloud-hosted service. So it's like using Gmail on the internet. There's an NA10 server that's running and giving you that service. that is more than good enough for many businesses that I can think of. If you really want to a uh, ensure that all the data or the workflows are on your environment. So if you are familiar enough to run your own AWS or Azure server, or you're working with a client who already has sort of that workspace, then you can download NA10 and run it. But that becomes a very technical thing to do. So yeah. Um, for NA10, yes, it is a cloud service that you would need to subscribe for. You can download and run it on your own laptop if you want to run it for free, forever, or you can download and run it on a server and then pay a sort of very limited amount. Now, the reason why it costs is that obviously some of these agents you want to have running 24/7. So if you're okay to run on your laptop and leave your laptop on and never close it, or some sort of desktop, you can do that as well. Yeah. Now, if you see NA10, it's a application that can run. And then additionally, if you're using any AI, that's again in the cloud. If you're using sort of OpenAI or other paid service providers, you will end up connecting to the internet. So again, you need that running. If you want to run this entirely on your own space, then there's a whole the whole methodology of using a model and installing the model on your server, etc. So that is probably more complex for this audience, but that is an option if you do need it. For today, please ensure that you are signed up to the trial for NA10, and that should be enough to get started with. The reason why I like NA10 is that their pricing model is quite affordable for the workflows that they do support. Other platforms charge you per step that you need to execute, whereas NA10 is just if you have one workflow, you might have 1,000 steps, it'll just be the same charge. And like I said, there is the option to run this on your own server, so that brings down the cost tremendously if that's something you want to operate for an organization. Okay, I guess that is, oh, there's one more question here. Thinking about building an AI for finance to gather data from multiple sectoral opportunities and highlight which sectors are doing better, create a few visual dashboards, and create a sort of product out of it. This is a great question, and I'd say a lot of the steps that you're looking for in terms of gathering data from multiple sources and doing this on an hourly or a daily basis and then putting into some database and then using other sort of visualization tools to push the data somewhere else. I think NA10 is a good place to start. You will probably want another layer of a front end if you want this as an application. And there are other tools like Lovable and Bolt, which are better suited for the front end side of things. But yeah, NA10 can handle all of the back end and do quite a good job of it. All right. So yeah, if there's any further questions, keep them pouring in. So I think we're on time. At 5 is when I'd intended to get into get my hands bloody. No, sorry, dirty is the term I wanted. All right. Come on, computer. Keep up. Okay, so the first time you come into NA10, hopefully you will see something like this. And there might be like 1 or 2 boxes here. I would ask if you can ignore them for now. But if you are not seeing something that looks like this on the sidebar and this sort of overview, please drop a message in the Q&A, or yeah, thanks for sharing the link once again. You should be seeing something like this. I will slowly progress on this, but if you're having any issues, please drop a message in the Q&A and we'll figure out what went wrong. Okay, so what are we looking at? So we're looking at the NA10 application right now, where there's a sidebar, there's some overview, and then there's a list of workflows, which I've created. So I have 5 workflows here already. In fact, I literally just confirmed that these flows will be working. So I just recreated them with a completely fresh account. And ideally, we should be on the same page. So Let's start with just creating a fresh workflow. So there's one nice big orange button called Create Workflow. If you click on that, that should take us to a N8 in Canvas or the editor. You can see here it just says add a first step. So let's click that. And we're now going to, I'll just walk you through a couple of these steps, just confirm that you can see these the same as I can. And then we'll start by building our first flow, which will be a simple form to a sheet integration. So this is like a level 1, right? Remember I mentioned level 1. So if I click add a first step, I see an options, what triggers this workflow? And there's multiple options, trigger manually, on an app event, on a schedule, on a webhook, on a form, etc. And there's a chat as well. We'll come back to this. Just keep in mind this is there. And there's some other stuff as well. Just to start off with, we'll go ahead and just click a form submission. So all I did was I clicked on form submission. Please follow along if you can. And it says, you can see over here, it shows me there's a form, on form submission, there's some parameters, there's some settings, some box, it's just a gray dead box on the left side, and then there's an output box. So if you guys have created a form, anything like a Google form, we'll create something very similar. So I will just do a contact us, I'm just going ahead and typing something. And I will add 2 form elements, one for, let's say, email, and I will choose email. So I've just gone into form elements and I clicked add form element, email, and I selected email. I'll make that required. And I'll put message as a second field and leave that on. And just because I'm testing, I will just add placeholders as well. Okay. So if you see here, in my form submission, I've just added 2 elements over here and changed really nothing else. And ideally, you should have something that looks like this. Again, if anyone have any issues, please throw up some emojis or type something in the Q&A, and we'll get to you. And now what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to click side. Just go ahead and click. Yeah, I'm going to click execute step. So what I've done is I've edited or created a form, and I'm going to click execute step. What it's going to do is going to give me a test version of my form. And you can see it's just showing me the placeholder, so I know that's there. I can just do any email is fine. And I'll click submit. And it just says form submitted. Nothing fancy. I'm going to go ahead and close this. And if I just click outside, or I could just click here as well, you can see the output is whatever I just submitted, right? So I've just created a form. I click execute step, and the pop-up came, and then I submitted something, and I see this as an output. So that's all this step is, and I just clicked outside, and I can see this node over here. So hopefully you should have something like this as well. And what I'll do is I'll just save this as email form, email. That's it. I'll just save that. Okay, so yay, very exciting. Well, this is still level 1. There's a form, and it is able to save that information. What we'll do is we'll just connect it to one more step. So I've just clicked on, I can click on this plus here, or I'll click on here. And I will go ahead and add a Sheets, a Google Sheets node, and I will choose append row in sheet. So just mark that so you guys can see. Append row in sheet. That's what I'm doing. Okay. So just to explain what I'm going to be doing here, I got a form, and I want to save that information somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and save it in some Google Sheet. Now, it's going to likely ask you to first connect you to a Google Sheets, but what we'll do is we'll open a new Google Sheet and then say, hey, I'm going to start pasting some information there. So please open a new tab. And what I like to do is just type in sheets.new, which will open up a new Google Drive, Google Sheet. And I will just put email and message as headers. Okay. And I will call this email message DB. So just to repeat, I'm just creating a new Google Sheet. This is my personal email, so this is ideally what you guys should all have access to. And now I am sharing that file as anyone with Lincoln Editor. I'm just doing this for demo purposes. So, if this is a production system, I would restrict that usage, etc. But just to show, just make it easier for today's demo, I'm just creating a new Google Sheet with email and message, made it editable by anybody. Now I'll go back to my form. And now over here, I've already just added my credential, but you would need to sign in with your Gmail to give this access. So if you click on create new credential, and then you just sign in with your Google, it'll ask you to verify yes, 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 and that'll give you access to Google Sheets, and then it should look something like this. I'll take a short pause here in case anyone has any concerns. I'm hoping you are following along with this. If you're not, you will get the recording so you can do this separately as well. But believe me, once you get sort of used to this, and if you're seeing this for the first time, this might be a little intimidating, but over time, this will just become, oh, input, process, output. Okay, connect to something and do some sort of action. Okay, so I will continue with this, but please feel free to ask any questions via the Q&A. So I'm connecting to a Google Sheets. This is my account. Where am I going to connect to? It's a sheet within a document. And the action is to save it to a specific, just add it to the row. And because I've got the link of the sheet, I'm just going to paste that in. If I wanted, I can actually search for it as well. It'll retrieve it, and it should show me the same file that I just created. So either way is fine. And sheet 1, because that's the sheet I just updated. And now what it's going to try and do is it's going to validate, it's basically going to say values to send. So what does this mean? From my input, I want to send to Google Sheets certain information. So I'm going to now drag and drop the email. I'm dragging and dropping the message. And then I'm going to just, yeah, that's pretty much all I needed to do. And if I click execute step, just to confirm it's working, you can see it says yes, node successfully run. And over here, this is the information that I just popped in. So you can see that I ran this on this side and it's running successfully on this side. By the way, in case you're wondering, I'm using Arc browser. I like the split view, so it's quite handy that way. Yeah, so you can see that now whenever I fill out a specific form, in fact, this is now saved and I can activate it. Yes, don't show this again. And let me just test at something.com. How are you doing? So you can see that for a few seconds there, it was spinning around and it's pushed that data over here. This is the first workflow. So I'm hoping some of you, the majority of you, hopefully were able to follow along. How many of you were able to do this? If you can give a thumbs up, that would be awesome. Okay. I'd say hand up is good. Thumbs up. Oh, lots of thumbs up. Wow. You guys are awesome. That's fantastic. I don't think I was this good on my day one. Yeah, I had to watch a lot of YouTube videos before I got to this point. So, yeah, well done. Thumbs up to all of you guys. Super. That's it. This is like if you've done this, this is like 80% of the challenge of understanding NA10. So this is a level one. So level one is where the form is there, you're just saving it. This one functionality alone, there are multiple connections and other tools like Zapier and other flow connectors that you can use. And the beauty of this is now you can connect this and do a lot of things. So once you have it at here, you can connect it to anything. You see this little guy here? He's basically saying, "What more can I do for you, sir?" So let's see what more we can do. Now we want to use some AI in this at some point, so I will get to that very shortly. But effectively, what you can do is say connect this to any other step, and you can see when I click this plus, what happens next? Great question. AI, do some action, do some data, do some flow, run something else, or do some human in the loop. So there are a lot of things that you can connect. And yes, okay, I've got some questions. Um, can you repeat the values to send? I will just do that shortly. Another question is currently occurring a test environment. Same goes for any Google form. Yes. So this is its own form. So just to answer this question, and hopefully I'll cover this again. This form is a NA to N form. So it's a form that you can use independently of Google Form or anything else. You don't need any other form builder. This is a perfectly functional form builder, same as Google Forms. Google Forms actually has a functionality where you can connect Google Forms to a Google Sheets. And in N8N, what you can do is, and I'll show you how this will be done. You can have a trigger node that is listening for updates in Google Sheets. So whenever there's a new row in Google Sheets, it'll then trigger and do something else. But yes, this form is effectively just one of the inputs that you can then build in and do something else with. Okay, somebody asked a question about value steps. So let me just, whether I'm double clicking and I'm pressing escape. So it's really a smooth experience if you want to use the shortcuts here. I'm double clicking. When I double clicked on the Google Sheets, step one was connecting to the Google credential that I have. And then kind of just leaving these two, pretty much they will be go to a sheet and then append a row because that's the action I want to take. I searched for the sheet that I'd created already, and then I said map each column manually, and then it gave me the two columns. So it actually retrieved these two steps and said, okay, this is what you want. And then over here on the left side, there's a schema view where I can just drag and drop what I want. So there's nothing sacred about this. I can drag and drop anything I want, and it'll just go and save there. So obviously, because I want email and message, and I wrote them the same way, it matches them and keeps them there. Yeah. So dragging and dropping is a handy way of looking at things. If you want, you can see the tabular view. So when you will get some instances where you've got, say, 100 data points and they all need to go one after the other. Then you can see the table view, the JSON view. Like I said, this is the JavaScript object notation. This is actually how the information comes in. But you can drag and drop here as well if you really want. But just visually, I'm a fan of just using this because it's just nicely laid out. I'm a fan of good padding. Okay. Thank you. All right, so we've done the first step here. A fairly decent flow. I mean, it works. There's nothing nothing good or bad about it. It does its job quite well. And yeah. But if you have any further doubts, please do type them in. I see a couple of raised hands. Can you just type those in just so that we will go through this. I'm sensitive of time, but I'm hoping some of you can stay on a little bit longer. We can go from there. Okay, so I've got Google Sheets and I've got something over here. Now, what I have in mind is let me connect some sort of AI agent over here, and then I'll connect a mailing agent over here. But just to show how it works, first let's put in an email agent. So over here, just an email node, sorry. I'll connect to my Gmail because they kind of natively support this. So I just to repeat again, I've clicked plus and I click Gmail, and I'll go to send. So I'm just typing in send, so I can click on send. And then it gives me this. So again, input, some process, and output. Okay, I see it's not wired up yet, but let me drag this here. I'll connect it over here. So when you click on that, it actually shows you the last message, which I find very handy. So when you're doing your testing, it'll show you this. And yes, there's a question on showing you the trigger nodes thing. You can see the entire history of steps. And in the history, you can see that, yeah, this is what was submitted. This is actually when it was submitted. This is the form, in the test mode. In fact, there's a lot of debug information as well, but you can see the entire history. And as your nodes extend out and you have a lot of nodes, you will find that you can see the entire history, and it's very handy to go back and see what's happening. Yeah, so what I've just done is, just to recap, I've just added a Gmail step here, and I'm about to make some changes in terms of what I want to do. What I'll just do over here is I will just send myself a copy. So let me see if I can do that. Form filled by, and I will drag and drop this email guy into this box. By the way, there's a very tiny switch over here called fixed in expression. What this means is that whenever you drag and drop in something that's a data point from the past, like using this notation, this double curly brace, they call it an expression because the value will change depending on whatever came in. And you can see a preview of that over here. It'll actually say, this is the non-changing part, and this is the changing part, the dynamic part. And the message, I will just say message from here, content here. And I can choose to make it HTML or text. I think I'll just leave it. I'll put it as text, so hopefully it'll keep the spacing. And yeah, now I've done the Gmail node, which has my credentials already. But if you haven't already added, again, you'd click on create a new credential. You'd sign in with your Gmail. It'll ask you for some permissions, but you can give those. And then choose message send, and it'll go from there. Now I'll just click on execute step. Great question in terms of how secure is this? It's quite secure. I think NA10 has proven itself to be very, very stable. And yeah, it listens or adheres to Gmail's own standards of accessing information and Google Drive. I've comfortably given access to my entire Gmail for different automations and different subfolders or different Drive accounts as well. So it's quite good in terms of what it does and security. They do have the necessary certifications if you're trying to use it for a commercial grade, like ISO and GDPR, etc. Okay, so what have I done here? Just to come back, I've connected this form into the flow, and the steps that I've created over here, I've gone back to the input, dragged and dropped it into the message, and then I clicked execute step. So I've actually just sent it to only one email. So I'm just going to go and see if I can find that email. And yep, there you go. So you can see here 1 minute ago, it came from myself because I'm sending it from myself. And it says message from something and content, how are you doing? So exactly what what I put in over here, it's happening over here. And now that this entire flow is there, I'll just save this. And I double click on it, I can share the production URL. So anyone who sends anything to this test at monkey.com, monkey want banana. And I'll click send. I'll go back to my flow. I'll see that this should be, I can see the history of all the executions. If I go to executions, it should surely spin up. And you can see here it says monkey want banana. That's what I've done. And also my email. Yeah, is also here. Very straightforward. Very straightforward sort of flow. And I clicked on executions to see the history. You can see all the past executions as well. And I'll just go back to editor so you can see this. All right, so far it's I'd say a level 1 workflow or level 2, depending on how you want to look at it. You can add some more filters, you can add other steps, but I'll go ahead and now plug in our first intelligence layer. And here's where I click on plus. So it knows that it's going to attach something here. I'll just type AI. Agent. Oh, no, sorry, this is not AI agent. This is not the big guy yet. I just want simple AI. So what we're going to do is first I'll click on this plus, then I'll click on AI, and then I'll click on OpenAI. So please click on OpenAI, and then over here it'll be message a model. Okay, so I'll just show that once again very quickly. Click the plus, click on AI, click on OpenAI, and then click on message a model. Okay, I'm hoping everyone's followed along with that. So I've clicked on click on the plus, click on the AI, and then OpenAI, and then message a model. So you should end up with something that looks like this. Okay. And once I've set this up, again, you should see a very familiar input process and then the output. This should become a very familiar screen over time because everything in N8N is left, middle, and right. And you'll learn to love this compared to every other tool. And what I've done is there should have been an option for you that says, hey, get free 100 Open API tokens. I've just clicked that, and I'm using the same one as you. So hopefully we're aligned in that front. Now, let's see what this does. So this is now our first AI model that we're connecting to. And now if you can think of how ChatGPT works, is you just type some text and you get a response. What you're doing is you're messaging the model. That's all you're doing. So you're sending a message. It then responds in a certain way based on what it's been programmed to do. So what's it been programmed to do? It's respond to act as a chat assistant to support you with doing something. And that's what we actually call the prompt. And then you will see that this is the whole point of a prompt engineering, because you need to now be able to handle that kind of response and go from there. So let's see, I'll choose a model. By the way, there's different types of models. There are very smart, slow, expensive. Then there are small, cheap, fast. If you're just doing testing, the nano model is good enough for us to play around with. So I'm going to go ahead and use that, and we'll use that for now. Now, if I see over here, it gives me now an option for messages and a prompt. So it says, hello, how can you help me, etc. This is where we will actually define, like I mentioned, the agent or the AI personality, right? So I'll put in something over here, something like act as a customer support agent and respond to this message. Okay, so this is not a great prompt yet. And I will go and click on the Google Sheets and say, drag and drop that message into the section so that it knows that this is what I want. And you can click on that little plus over here to see the preview of it. So this is just this tiny little, well, tiny little pop-out icon, and you can actually see what it's doing on the left. The right side is the result, and the left side is its calculation. So act as a customer support agent and respond to this message. That's it. I've not given any sort of really smart system over here, system prompt. But you can really expand this, and in a production grade system, this can go on to hundreds, if not thousands, of lines, and you can really give it a lot of context. So you might even start putting in saying the context. You work for a company called Quantana. Quantana has 86 employees. Quantana works with AI agents, UI, UX design, and builds web and mobile apps for global clients. Yes, this is subliminal messaging or embedded marketing, but yeah, you get the idea. But we can give this context, and it will actually use this context. I'll just move this down over here and see how it goes. And I'm just going to save this and just execute this step. Let's see what it does. So look at this. We sent hello or how are you? And what went to the AI model is this: act as a customer support report as agent. How are you, given the context? The AI model then responds with, hello, thank you for reaching out. I'm doing well and appreciate you asking. At Quantana, we're dedicated to, etc. How can I assist you today? Right? So it is taking this context that I'm giving, it's taking my message that I'm giving over here, and it's giving me a response. And we can then play around with this as much as we want. So this can be a customer support agent. This can be act as a researcher, act as a delivery update response agent, right? So when somebody says I'm building an agent, they're probably talking about this. This is the meat of the entire project, and you can do the entire workflow in like minutes, or in the first 15-20 minutes you can define the workflow, and then you might spend about 2 or 3 weeks fixing this. So every edge case, every scenario, different types of questions, how to handle it. It's like a blank slate. So you have to give very specific instructions so that it can get better. One of the easiest ways to do this is pretty much, again, ask ChatGPT to say, give me a system prompt for an AI agent that can handle customer support queries. Yeah, that's enough. Let's see. So you can see what it says. You are a professional, empathetic, etc. Give me, never guess. And if you're unsure, escalate or recommend contacting human support. So pretty much every scenario that you want, you should be doing this. And this is just a very layman's way of doing it. You can also say, here are some here are some sample generate some sample questions and responses like an FAQ. Okay, so these are your typical, very common kind of questions. I will literally just copy this as is and just put it into my flow. Use these FAQs. Yeah. Use the FAQs as needed. Oh, do not respond with any information not contained here. If you do not have sufficient information, simply reply, I do not know. You would obviously want a better sort of response, but this is where this one line can prevent 80% of hallucinations. And there's other stronger ways of handling hallucinations, but just something like this significantly reduces the effort, because what it's looking for is an exit clause, right? So it's almost, think of AI models as a small child that just wants to talk to you. It just needs your love. It wants your ear. And if you say, don't hallucinate, it doesn't know how to do this. So you have to give it something it can say in response to, not knowing that information. So you'd want to have something like, I don't know this information, but I'm happy to provide you other information related to this or connect you to somebody else. All right, so this is now a much more contexty kind of thing. So I will just go ahead and I said, what was my example here? How are you doing? So let me just execute that again just to see what happens. Now it's going into, hello, how are you doing? How can I assist you today? So it's kind of going into chat mode. I guess I can ask it more specific questions and then it will give me that. There's two more steps that I think are important here. There's an option here to output content as JSON, which what it'll do is it'll restructure this if you want to break it down into smaller subsegments, like say respond in an email format, and then it'll give you that. So you can say respond in an email format with a subject and a body content. And then it will, if I run this again, it'll say, here's the subject and here's the body. And now I will select output content in JSON. So again, you can see in this format, this is one text box, like one paragraph, which is sometimes not very handy. I want to split it up and make it usable. So then I would do this output as content, output content as JSON, and now it's split it up. So subject and body come as two separate things, right? So this is super handy. And what I can do now is, say I've sent myself a copy before doing this, but what I can do now is I can respond back to the person. So I will do a Gmail send message. And now I will go back and take the filled out email in my to, and I will take the subject from my AI in the subject, and I'll take the body here. And by the way, you see these little slash ends. That means it's a simple text and not a formatted HTML. So I will make that into text so that it will know that I'm talking about text and not HTML. And now if I click execute step, it'll send it to this, which does not exist, but just to show you that it did do something, I can go into my sent items. And yeah, you can see over here, it has just sent it. Like, this is the message just now. Thank you for reaching out. How can I help you? And you can sort of imagine, what would be a logical next step. If I reply to this, I can then have another agent that will go through that email and reply to that as well. Right? So I can then start fleshing this out so that it's not just coming from this form fill. I can actually connect it in a way that I can use the same AI model, but have another flow over here that can do something else. And we'll not do this. I want to go show you something else, which is equally as cool. But if I wanted, I could have a Gmail trigger that receives an email and then does something. So, which I'll show you after another thing. So quick pause here. Everyone who's followed along, can I just get a thumbs up? Anyone who hasn't followed along, please. Yes, I see one thumbs up. I see an army of thumbs ups. So, by the way, no worries if you haven't been able to follow along this far. We will share a recording after this session. I would definitely encourage you to do this. The most important thing that I would want you to take away is how to think of these as workflows and how to build the AI agent prompt. Like this is the meat of building an AI agent. And if you can get this right, everything else will just be falling into place. Okay, now I'll just save this. All right, now let me show you another agent for those who have followed along. If you haven't followed along, you can just grab some popcorn and yeah, enjoy what you see over here. Now, in NA10, they have this specific node called AI agent. I think I previewed that a few seconds ago or a few moments ago. But this is sort of the more advanced level 4 agent that NA10 has gotten very good at. And I'll just break down what are the pieces. And if you recollect, there was a slide that was on this, so you do have that for reference in the future. But effectively, the AI agent, you can think of it as the inputs, and then you have some outputs. But the AI agent itself has a model, memory, and some tools. Now, the tools are optional. The memory is also optional, but the model is a must-have. You can see that star over here, right? So that's just telling us that, yes, you definitely need that AI model over here. Now, if I peel back this AI agent and I just click on it, you can see the system message. Now, what have I given over here? You are Vishal's personal assistant with access to his Google Calendar as a tool. I'm telling it that it has access to a tool. And this is very important. I have to tell it what it can do. It's like you hire a new employee and have them sit down and say, hey, by the way, we have access to this database and we have access to email, we have access. So it's the same thing, right? Telling the agent, this is what you can actually access and this is what you can do. Now, what can you do? That's again something that you want to tell. In this case, what I've just created here is a simple chat agent that can block my calendar, right? So what I've prescribed is when a request comes in, use the Google Calendar create tool to block a time given the start time. If no end date is given, set it for 30 minutes. If no date is given, sorry, no end time is given 30 minutes. No date is given, take tomorrow 9 a.m. Okay, so let's call tomorrow. And what does this interface look like? Well, it comes up as a chat. So, and I'll show you this and then we'll start it from scratch just so you know, do a follow along. But I will quickly add a memory. You can see here it says for beginners, so perfect. I don't even want to, you don't even have to think about it. It just works. And for the tool, I will connect to a Google Calendar tool. And I will just say magically just select these. By the way, I'll do this slowly again, just so you can follow. I'm just wanting to show you how this would work. Hi, can you block a time at 7 p.m. to talk? Okay, so something happened. Something happened. Let's see what happened. A lot of green ticks happened. Where is this? Okay, well, something happened, but not quite what should have happened, as one would. Okay, let's see what happened here. Go to this Google Calendar. It has created on the 17th, 2023. Okay, so okay, now it's created this and updated this, etc. So slightly awkward here, but somehow the instructions have made it go to 2023. So that's something that we'll have to correct. And this is an important lesson with AI. You can never be too prescriptive when instructing AI to do something. And when I say that, it's basically this: take tomorrow. The year is now 2025. Today is June 21st. Okay, so I'm actually telling this, so let's see if that does something. Okay, all right. I'm hoping this now worked. Oh, there you go. So now that time was blocked for 7 p.m., right? So you can see that it has somehow connected it magically, right? So let's break this down. What has it done? It's received a chat message. And by the way, this chat message, what NA10 does is you can actually open this in a separate chat window as well. Oh, there's this. Make publicly available. Yes. And that should have worked. Oh, okay. Because I didn't turn it on. Yeah. And if I click on this, I can actually open it and I'll get a chat window. And if you're, if you want, you can embed this inside your website as well. But again, this is a fairly basic prototype. It's not necessarily something I would use for full production, but good enough for internal kind of applications. But you can see here, I have a chat node, and that's connected to an AI agent. That's connected to an OpenAI chat. I've said 4.1 nano, and I've given it a memory connected to calendar, and I've also just for fun just connected to a Gmail. This is technically not needed. Okay, let's start building this from scratch. So, but because I get to be me, I will cheat slightly and keep a copy of this. But I will just paste this into the Q&A. Yeah, just paste this into the Q&A. So if you want to use that, you can happily do that. Okay, clean slate, go back, save. Okay, so again, this is a clean slate, and I'm going to go ahead and click this plus, just confirming everybody's able to create a new sheet or a new workflow. Can I get a thumbs up from people? Yes, one thumbs up. I'll take 5 more thumbs ups. Okay, 3, 2 more. 2 more. Cool. Wow, exactly 2 more. Everyone else was on the fence of, yeah, you go do the thumbs up. Okay, so create a first agent, and I'll just say chat. And then there's a chat trigger. So just there's a chat trigger that you can add that to. And I'll just set that to be publicly available, etc. And there's a whole first message and all of that, but you can leave that. And I'll click escape because I don't need to make any changes. And if you're using the same online version of this chat, then you can see there's a built-in chat editor or chatter over here as well. Now I'll connect the AI agent. And by the way, over time, you'll get very used to just clicking plus and then typing in what you want. Okay, so now in this AI agent, you'll see here it just says connected node and requires specific output and nothing else. But what you want is to click on add option and then system message. And in fact, I will copy that into it. And yeah, I will just try and click on execute step, but it's like, uh-oh, it's not doing anything because we're missing something. What are we missing? The chat model. Here I'm pretending that you're saying chat model. So if you want, you can say chat model and I'll appreciate it. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. So OpenAI, that's the model that we've signed up for. It's already got the free credits, and I will just select Nano because I'm cheap. I mean, I want to conserve my credits that I'm getting. Memory, I will just click on simple, not worry about the rest for now. That's fine. I'm just clicking escape. And tool, I will connect to my calendar. So I typed CALE, it's bringing up my Google Calendar. And by the way, you can see there's a lot of tools as well. So if you want to explore, you can do that. I've already connected my Google Calendar account, so you can go ahead with that if you want. And I will just say, I believe the rest, but I want an event to be created and connected to my email. And over here, you can actually specify the start and end date. This is quite new, but you can just click on this magic button, I guess you could call it that, and it will automatically choose the start and end time. So this is sometimes where if you're dealing with more or less structured information, you can actually say first convert that text into something and then use the calendar tool. But for the most part, this is good enough. And yeah, now we're pretty much done. That was setting up the chat agent in the 3 steps. Hi, can you book in a time at 5 p.m. today? Nice. And it actually responded, and it says you can view it here. So I'm going to click that and see if it actually did that. Yeah, 5 p.m. today with no title. So it's not given any title because I've not actually said put any title. If I want, I can actually say use a specific title in the description. I can choose, anything that I want in the calendar. I can do that. I can choose location, like if you want to send a Google Meet link automatically. So now this is where hopefully this should trigger some ideas that you can use this in so many different ways. This is just one automation that is just connected to, one tool that is connected to an AI agent. But if I click on this plus, I have access to a lot of tools. You can see Airtable, Asana. I'll just see if some of these tools click up. Just Dropbox. So again, you can upload a file, download a file. You can connect to GitLab, GitHub. So many tools that are there. You can connect it to, etc. Just, I think, can anyone think of or just type in some ideas of any use cases that come to mind based on this? And again, there are so many tools. Just type this into the Q&A if you can. You can connect to Google Drive. You can create a file, delete a file. Again, this AI agent is the personality. The OpenAI is the brains or processing. You can connect to HubSpot. Give me a thumbs up if you recognize any of these tools. Intercom. I'm hoping some of these. Line, LinkedIn. Anyone heard of LinkedIn? MailChimp. The entire Microsoft stack, Microsoft 365, Microsoft To-Dos, Pipedrive. Yeah. So a lot of tools that are available to connect to an AI agent. I've just picked Google Calendar because that's something I could just show you just now. But you can basically connect and create an AI agent that you can chat with, and it can then connect to a multiple set of tools. You can actually have hundreds of tools connected to one AI agent. I do not recommend it because it's almost like giving a new joinee of your company all accesses to every system on day one and say, go for it. So it'll get sloppy in terms of what it can do. And you need to ensure that every tool is given in the system prompt. So it knows that it can actually access and do something with it. So this is very important. And this system message or system prompt can go on for hundreds, if not thousands of lines. And the best way to do it is actually to split it up as much as possible. So you have different flows that do different things. All right, I am slightly cognizant of time. So if there's any further questions, please do drop them in. I want to just do a little bit more show and tell. In fact, there's one more flow that I was planning on showing. Let me see if I can. Yeah. So I'll not go into too much detail at this point, but this was something that I had lined up. I'll share this. By the way, whoever's joined, I'll just share the copy of all these flows. So by the way, I can download the entire flow and you can upload it. So another very handy tool with N8N is I can just share the entire flow in a diagram or in a JSON file. You can then upload it back into your system, import from file, and then it'll allow you to get that entire workflow going. And over here, what I've effectively got, I'll just show you the past recordings, is, okay, well, I guess it's trying to run every minute or so. So you can see I just sent myself an email, but what I've over here is a CV analyst tool. So I've actually just gone and downloaded, I searched for Vishal Kumar CV and I found this. Yeah, this is not my CV, but I found this. So thank you, Vishal Kumar, for accidentally volunteering yourself for this demonstration. So Vishal Kumar is a web full stack developer somewhere in Bihar. And yeah, and what I've set up as a flow is, if you can read what it does, let's break it down. There's an email trigger. Every time an email comes with CV check in the title, I put this in just for testing purposes. There's an attachment there. This attachment, then I extract using the PDF extractor. So it just pulls out all of the text from the PDF. This isn't a very fancy OCR tool, but it does most of the job from a PDF. And there are some better tools and APIs that can extract from very detailed PDFs, including graphs and images. This one will not do to that level, but for a CV, as long as it gets the text, I'm happy. And now I'm taking this text, I'm putting it into the system prompt of analyze the CV and respond with any pros and cons of hiring this candidate in our company. Here's the text. Respond with one line summary, list of pros, list of cons. And it's, you can see this is the expression, and the result is basically a dump of the entire CV or whatever it could extract. And it will respond with this. So the AI is now taking this and saying, motivated full stack developer, proficient, lack of professional or internship experience beyond academic projects. Oh, so this is nice. By the way, I've only just said pros and cons. I've not given any context of my company or the role or anything, right? So if you can sort of think now, and this is where you need to flex some of that brain power. How can I now make this more appropriate for my organization? Yeah, you can give it more context about your company. You could also have different keywords that you're looking for and saying that if this candidate has applied for a a developer role, then use this job description as a basis of analyzing. If this profile is applied for a a product manager role, then use this job description as a basis, right? So hopefully this is allowing you to start thinking in that mindset of connecting different nodes in the right place. So in fact, this could be, let's say, developer AI HR analyst agent of this for developer in our company. Check for technical experience in React, Node.js, etc. Right? So this could be one flow that's here. If you remember in levels 2 and level 3, we had different types of conditions that you could then connect the system to. So you could actually have something like one is a developer HR analyst, another is a product manager HR analyst. Hiring this product manager in our company. Check for any technical details. Check for experience in dealing with clients and analysis of growth data. UI, UX, experience preferred. Right? So you can define this right now like this, or you could even put this into another sheet and then say that, hey, use this baseline information and then check. For example, I could have a if. I'll have a simple if condition over here, and I'll have an if step here, for example. I'm hoping you're not intimidated by this. I know you guys are not. You're fearless. You are the strength to my wings, something like that. I could have a simple if CV has developer in the mail, then do this. If not, do this, right? Or I could do a switch. And by the way, some of you who come from a technical background will start recognizing this as, hey, isn't this just programming? Because if case, switch case, and then you got loops. Yeah, for loop, while loop, all of those. Like this is just programming, isn't it? And then to that I say yes, it is programming. It's just a nicer looking programming of this that you see over here. So yeah, some of these flows you can go on, and it's in the right hands, it's very powerful. I would suggest keeping the flows very simple, and you get a lot of good results from that in a very good way. And this here is a, let's say, HR CV analyst agent. You could have multiple flows that could go from there. I've seen flows that go for thousands of steps and do some very detailed research. Just some, yeah, You can do certain websites. Yeah. So here, once you're aware of what's possible, I'll tell you how I generally use, even N8N, which is with ChatGPT. So it's like, I'll literally be like, create an N8N flow where I can search for financial keywords on Yahoo Finance or Financial Times, and I should get daily updates whenever something related to Bitcoin comes up. So it'll do something for me. What I like to do is just understand, oh, this is how it works. So remember I said trigger. There's a new node that we haven't discussed yet, something called HTTP request, which just means it'll go to a specific site and get something for you. We can have a filter node that will take a subset of that information whenever the keyword matches. And then you can send, that's your output step. You can say, send me a message, send me a Telegram, send me a Slack message, etc. It will point out that Yahoo Finance does not have an official API, and there are some other things. So yeah, this is, once you get the hang of it, you'll be like, oh, okay, I can see that I have 90% of the steps that I need. Is there something I can do with that 10%, etc.? Now, if you specifically want to scrape certain information, if there is a feed, like for example, Yahoo gives you a feed that allows you to get the latest Bitcoin numbers, etc. There are other scraping tools. So I use, for example, scrapey.com. So in fact, we use Scrapey for, oh, not this guy. This guy, Scrapey. Yeah. So we use Scrapey for getting, say, LinkedIn profiles from Google. So there's one workflow that we've set up where it can actually go to your calendar and then identify anyone who's not a colleague, and then it will go online on Google and search for that name plus LinkedIn and try and get their LinkedIn profile, and then it'll download those LinkedIn profile and send you a summary of that LinkedIn profile to you. So without me having to go to Google and then searching for the email and then getting the LinkedIn, I will just get that automatically every morning at 8 o'clock. So like clockwork, that happens. So this is just something that you can start using and hopefully build out. Let's see, create an N8N flow using that searches my calendar, identifies any non-colleagues, and searches on Google and gets their LinkedIn and scrapes them and sends me a summary before my meeting at 8 a.m. every day. All right, guys. I think hopefully I'm gonna end this on time. Again, I'm giving you a preview of what's possible in terms of what kind of flows are possible using N8N. I've got a couple of just questions just to see if anyone is there. Just checking, does anyone want access to the flows that are over here? Like I said, if you want a copy of these flows and anything else, I can share these as well. I assume, oh, I'm very interested in somebody says I'm not good. I mean, no, I'm good. Who is the courageous one who will say, no, I'm good? Probably the co-organizers who've seen me present this multiple times over. Okay, and yeah. And just to kind of round this off as a discussion, just as a wrap up, hopefully what you've seen here is agentic workflows versus AI agents, and oh, two brave souls. I don't know who you are, so I guess you will get them anyway. So, haha. Two brave souls. But anyway, whatever you learned today, how to use N8N, hopefully I've exposed you to, okay, this is how to think of flows and how to think of AI as a component in that entire flow, and showed you how to, for example, just connect an email or connect a chat to some tools. And again, this is very, very introductory, but if you can start thinking about how this can be applied to your company, because you deal with email, Slack, Teams, these are all things that you can connect to N8N. And then there are different tools and databases you can connect to. So definitely something that you can explore. Feel free very much to get in touch with me. That's my LinkedIn over there. I keep posting very, very interesting finds and general commentary on AI and design every now and then, as well as other tools that we're building out. So please drop me a follow. And yeah, so what else is there beyond this? Obviously, this is a very introductory session to N8N. You can spend hours on this. I've spent days on this, and it's very familiar to me, but I'm still learning because they keep adding new modules and new nodes. And they've been growing very, very fast. I mean, a few months back, they were at about 40,000 stars, and now they're at 100,000 stars. So yeah, this is definitely the one tech to watch, and start implementing them. Again, the flows are, if you realize the value of your time, you will acknowledge that there are things that you should just be automating, and it's so much easier. Now, as a next step, if people are interested, and yeah, just let me know. I'll just take another quick poll question in terms of if anyone wants a deep dive into this. But if you can sort of imagine the N8N flows as the back end of some sort of data and processing, there's a whole series of technologies that allow you to connect it to some front end. And then now you can have like a form or some other interaction that says do something, and then it'll trigger N8N in the back end, process it, and then give you the information back. So, and earlier you would need, to figure out how to learn to set up a server and write a lot of code. With N8N, you can get away with a lot less and still deliver very amazing, at least proof of concepts, etc. I will say N8N is good for a smaller scale. If you are truly thinking of very large scale information, you would probably want to switch into something that can replicate itself, or something that can scale up for tens of hundreds of thousands of users. But if you've got like 100 or 1,000 users, N8N is perfectly good for that. And yeah, more complex workflows, for those who are consider themselves developers or adventurous managers. There's definitely a good amount of Python frameworks that you can build out different complex flows. Agno is my current favorite, but this is where sort of the future is headed, where you have very complex flows that interact with one another, etc. And finally, if you want me to sort of teach your team something, or your pets, or speak at the next World Conference, yeah, sure. Drop me a message. Okay, so that's all the slides and the stuff show and tell that I have for today. The end or not. I will. Any other questions? And thanks so much for the Quantana team, Sudipta and Sabila, who's been tremendous running the heavy lifting in the back end. The human agents behind the AI agents, or in front of them, or on top of them, something. There's some dynamic equation there. All right, last chance to drop in any questions. If not, then we will wrap up on time. I will give you back your Saturday evenings, you wonderful, amazing people. And yeah, have a good day. Yeah. Yeah. And if this runs out, by the way, please do drop in a message on our LinkedIn page. The Quantana page is also there. That'll go to the whole team. And if it's not just me, my team will also be there responding. So yeah, do follow us on Quantana for even bigger updates. Yes. I'll be there for another 20, 30 seconds with a grin on my face for any further questions, or I will take the welcome thank yous. You can drop off now. This is a no obligation staring contest or a blinking contest. Never mind. Sorry. We'll do that again. Okay. All right. I think we got everybody here. Is that somebody's father who joined? All right. With that, I will stop sharing and we will call this evening a wrap. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Take care.